going on, everyone? Hope all is well. Sorry for the hiatus. I think I mentioned in the past video, but I've been on my way to Thailand with my girlfriend. We're here, we've been here for a few days, but I wanted to make a video that I kind of teased in a packing video a few weeks ago about the technology or the tech stuff that I took with me for this trip. I've always loved those videos where I make those like, this is what I take with me, kind of on the tech side, nerdy side. So this isn't for everyone, but if you're in the camp of maybe considering some items to take with you on your trip, whether you're planning to like vlog it or maybe just to have some essentials, I want to try to go through a few different products that might help you because they've helped me. And yeah, so let's get started. For the first product, kind of a basic thing, and I have the stuff behind me, so don't mind me if I look back a few times, is your cell phone. Kind of common sense. This is actually my backup phone just because I use my main phone to record these videos. I've had a few questions in the past just about like what kind of products I use for that, but they're all primarily recorded on my iPhone 12 Pro Max. And just since we're on the topic, I also have a GoPro. This is a GoPro Hero 8 with a little wind buff thing on it. I'll talk more about that later. But in terms of maybe your travels or whatever you're planning to do in terms of recording videos, the phone, at least my phone, and I'm sure your phone is pretty capable as well, has been excellent for me. I'm not like a camera person. I like taking pictures and videos, but I also have a budget to obtain or keep to. So in terms of using my phone, it's super efficient, always on me, which is something that obviously with a bigger camera, it might be a little harder to complete. But yeah, I use my phone, and again, this is sort of a backup just as a kind of metaphorical. Imagine this is an iPhone 12 Pro Max. But anyways, but yeah, a phone is one of the more important products I take. And again, just for recording videos. And in terms of maybe the next most important thing I have with me, that would be my computer. This is a MacBook Air. I do my video editing on here, respond to emails, just like computer things. But this is like a 2020 model. I think they've made new versions. It works like a champ for me, so I love it. But in terms of your trip, I've mentioned in a video in the past that this is going to be an extended trip, probably about 6 months to a year. So in terms of having a phone and a computer, those are probably your most essential items. Like I mentioned, I do the video editing on here, and yeah, those are the things that kind of get me through the day by day. But in terms of the rest of the items here, they may start to gear towards if you're planning to make like videos on your own, if you want to start a YouTube channel, whatever that reason is for you, these products might be more relevant. But with that said, the stuff I'll talk about now are still useful in certain cases. And I'll get started with the, I guess, follow-up to my laptop, which is my iPad. I have the, I think it's called the Apple Magic Keyboard, but as you can see, folds up. It's pretty portable. I guess short story, long story short, the program I use to edit my videos, it's actually made for the iPad or tablets, and I can also use it for my laptop. So, but all that to say, in terms of using this, we have TVs generally in our rooms, but when we want to have a little reminder of being back home in New York, we'll watch Netflix, just like the streaming apps, HBO Max, etc. I'll occasionally edit videos on here, but the battery drains a little bit. And this is just an iPad Pro from like 2018. Again, I feel like all these products are probably newer versions, but in terms of how I use them, they work pretty well, and the iPad's no exception. So generally, I keep these at home. I'm not generally traveling with like electronic just because it's not needed, especially in these streets where I'm trying to carry or travel light. But all that to say, the iPad here is useful. And especially if, say, you don't need to carry a laptop with you, you can definitely get by with an iPad. Again, depends on your situation. Maybe you're just watching this to get an idea of maybe stuff you want to bring with you. You can do about 80 to 90% of everything you can on a laptop on here, at least in my experience. And I guess the next product we can speak to a little bit is kind of related to the first item I mentioned with my phone. I actually have a GoPro, and I've used this a few times on this trip thus far, and it's pretty useful. I'll take the little wind buff off, but as you can see, it's pretty compact. I just have like a handle on it, and this, again, like I mentioned, it's like a foam. It just protects it from wind. But the idea here is that I throw this in my bag. My girlfriend and I are like around town. We'll like shoot videos and stuff. And again, this is pretty small, so it doesn't really draw attention. The quality is really good too. This is a GoPro Hero 8. I think they're on the 10 now, but for my purposes, it does the job quite well. I'm always recording on my phone with the back camera, so I don't need like a screen to look at myself, because that could be kind of distracting. So in terms of this, that's like the main difference between the newer models. But all that to say, really convenient product. It's waterproof. You can do all those cool shots. I haven't had a chance to do those yet, but really cool. I have a backup battery. I don't have it with me right now. It's in my bag, but the batteries do drain a little quicker. Obviously, the more you use them. So I would recommend, if you do get like a GoPro, maybe get like an extra battery or maybe an external charger in the event that you're out and about and the battery kind of dies on you. So that will be maybe something I'd recommend if you don't want to use your phone as your main camera. And in terms of cost, I think you get these for like under 300 bucks, if not cheaper now, USD that is. So highly recommended, even in 2022. So another thing, as there's some cars passing by, but another thing I'd recommend, maybe obvious, but I have a pair of AirPods, but I guess this category can be like headphones. I have AirPod Pro. I have a little case on them, but in terms of the functionality, I have these on when I'm listening back to videos I'm editing, obviously music. They're headphones, so use them as you would, but they're super compact, which, you know, when you're going about your day, if anyone has a pair, they can probably attest that you throw them in your pocket or your bag and you forget you even have them. And that was the idea. I mentioned the packing video, we're packing primary carry-on, so although they're better quality headphones, they're generally on the bigger side. So for myself, I wanted to make sure I had something really lightweight and that I can take with me on the go when needed. So definitely recommend these. I also have, I'll show in a second, but anyways, definitely recommend these, and yeah, they work for myself. And I guess along the lines of audio, I've had a few people mention or compliment the audio on my videos. Thank you. But for the most part, I use an external microphone. You can kind of see it here, but it's also here. This is what it looks like when it's just kind of like hanging out, but it's a Saramonic Blink 500 transmitter. And it has a wireless plug-in that I can put right into my phone. Like I mentioned, I'm really kind of like double down of using my phone to record my videos. Maybe down the line, if, I don't know, maybe the channel gets big or something, I don't know, I'll use upgrade. But for now, it's super convenient. Like I mentioned, it's lightweight, so kind of just I have it on me now, obviously, but throwing it in my bag. My girlfriend and I actually have a separate channel. I'll link it somewhere here. But I got this specifically because there's two microphones. A lot of times you usually have to buy one and then buy an extra, but this came with two transmitters, so we can both have it on, and depending on like where we're about or where we're going, we've had past videos in New York, on the other channel, where we're both talking at the same time. Think of like live streams, for example. So this is highly recommended. I think there are newer versions of these as well, but all that to say, they work pretty fine for me. And yeah, highly recommend it, especially if you are recording videos or looking at this video to get an idea, maybe the equipment you might want to use. I've always heard, and I can kind of attest, people will forgive a video quality, but the audio should always try to be as good as it can be. And I can attest, because there's some videos where it looks awesome, but if you can't really hear what's going on or what the person's saying, definitely can throw me off. So with that in mind, I've used this and been happy with it. So that's the microphone. And I guess we can go into maybe some other related products regarding the, I guess, recording of the videos themselves. I have my phone on like a standing tripod thing. I think it extends like 40 inches or so, but on occasion I'll use this This is a DJI. It's a little dirty. I've kind of put it through its like, you know, whatever the saying is. But I've used this a few times. It's a DJI Osmo 3, I believe, and it's essentially a gimbal. I use this on occasion, depending on where I am. It definitely has its pros and cons, I would say, but more so because the camera I'm using, my iPhone, when I'm holding it, the stabilization within it is actually really good. So when I'm using it on like a handheld tripod, I've had a lot of videos where I'm just doing that versus needing the gimbal. This will always help, but in my cases, I've always noticed they're not too much of a difference in terms of switching between the two. But with that said, when I do use it, it's pretty convenient. It has this little clip here, so you can kind of put it around your phone, and it's magnetic, so it's pretty easy to turn, put it on and turn on. And a little inside baseball, but there's also a USB here, so depending on what you're using, if you're using your phone or any product, or I would recommend phone, but if you're using the two together, you can plug in like a little wire here and actually charge your device at the same time while you're using it as a gimbal. So one of those little things you don't think of initially, but I would say has come in handy a few times. Like I mentioned, we've done like live streams in the past on my other channel, but all that to say, if you need like some extra juice out of your device, you have a little battery here, which kind of doubles up. So it's pretty cool. The next product here is in terms of, I guess, capturing a lot of content, videos, pictures on Instagram. I'm also posting pictures and all that fun stuff, but all that to say, storage management's a pretty big deal. And that's why I got a Lacy 4 terabyte hard drive. With that in mind too, this is where I usually I read the word design here. This is where I usually hold like my backup files. Like if a video is uploaded, I'll just have a copy of it on here. But for the most part, thankfully, like I've been able to get products that have a lot of storage within them. Like my laptop has a terabyte. My iPad has like a 500 gigs. So I'm thankfully not ever short on storage. My phone also has about like 2 something gigs. So this is just kind of to have on the background, and especially if you start to load up on the storage that your devices have, you may notice it's slowed down. Not necessarily all the time, but if you're editing, maybe you have a fancier camera than I do, but if you're editing footage and you're using the storage on your computer with the memory, blah, 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 it can get a little dicey. So having kind of an external hard drive helps with this. So highly recommend this as well. And the last of the items are kind of little auxiliary items. Not something you think of too often, but I have this little carrying case. It's like from like one of my old jobs back in the States, but just carries an extra pair of AirPods. This is like my first pair as like a backup because they stopped working, but they work just enough. So in case my AirPods freak out, I have these. But I carry all my wires, not all of them in here. Some of them are plugged throughout the apartment or the Airbnb I'm in right now. But I use this to kind of carry and keep it all condensed. When you have a lot of products and they all use different wires, it's good to keep them in a spot, obviously depending on what your preference is. But I keep them in here and they zip up, and it's kind of like a hard case. So in theory, it's pretty protective. So I definitely recommend that. And also have a handful of memory cards. Again, just speaking to having extra memory. Don't want to have a situation where I'm just like, oh, I don't know where to store my content. Hopefully you don't have that problem either, but extra memory cards never hurt. So I keep those in here. And the last of it, again, kind of wrapping up here, little dongle. I love my laptop, my AirPod, my MacBook, but it only has like these 2, I think these are lightning cables. That's like the Apple terminology. But I bought one of these dongles. I think people have said like dongle life in terms of like Apple computers. But I bought this and it plugs right in, and you have a couple of extra options. So an SD card reader specifically for the GoPro because it has a little micro SD. So I have an adapter. Anyway, I have that here. There's a couple USB outlets here too, and an HDMI cable. I haven't needed to use that, but if you want to connect to like a bigger monitor, definitely gives the option. And this also plugs into the iPad. So in the same way, if I'm like using this to edit video, plug it right on the bottom and I can access my files that way too. So pretty convenient. kind of a necessary evil, at least with the older MacBooks. I think the newer ones have like an extra port, so that's nice for those people. But yeah, I think that's about it. I have this too. It's kind of like a standing charger. By itself, it's not a big deal, but it has like extra USB. So depending on where you're staying, like I mentioned, I'm in Bangkok right now. We have plenty of outlets in our room, in our Airbnb in general, so not a problem. But say you want to charge a few items within close vicinity, I'll generally have my I'll have my iPhone here. Maybe I'll be charging my GoPro here, and then my next product I was gonna bring up, my Apple Watch. So just to have something like this, there's different versions. This is a Ubiolabs charger, rolls right off the tongue, but works for me. I think that I was gifted this, so have that. But like I mentioned a second ago, I have my Apple Watch too. Nothing crazy. This is like a Series 3. I think this was on sale a couple years ago. I think they're on Series 7 or 8 now. It works for me. It's a watch. I don't use it to like, you know, fight crime. I just kind of need to look at the time and maybe get a notification or so. But in terms of fitness, if that's like your thing, walking around, especially in Bangkok, with some background noise that will pass in a second. There we go. Especially in Bangkok, my girlfriend and I are walking way more, which is ironic because we were in New York, which we walked a lot too. But in terms of tracking steps, it's an Apple Watch, it's a watch. I wouldn't say you need this. I kind of put this towards the end for a reason, because you can go about your trip without one. But if you do have one, it works for me. I've just had it as a watch. I'm not a watch person, but it kind of works for me. But that's pretty much everything in terms of what's working for me. And if you're maybe new to the channel, what I plan to use for future videos, or if you've been watching for a few months now, just thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. But yeah, this is what I've been using for my channel thus far. To middling success, I don't know, but all that to say, I wanted to put this video together to give you an idea of maybe stuff that you can consider. I'll put some items in the description. I only hesitate because there's better products probably, but these work for me really well. So I'll put maybe the category and just kind of like what might be a good option. So I'll include that. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in terms of maybe your reason for watching this. Maybe, like I said, you're planning a trip. Maybe you want to start a YouTube channel. Maybe you're just curious of the stuff I use. Probably not. But all that to say, I hope this was somewhat helpful. And yeah, thank you for watching. I plan to get the videos pumping out a little more on this channel in the very near future, but wanted to do this video just to get it out of the way so we can have more fun around Bangkok and Thailand and all the future travels. So I think I've kind of ended this video a few times now, but again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.